1,000 years hence, the rise of the traction cities. The Earth lay scarred and ravaged. Centuries had passed since the 60-minute war, a conflict so swift and brutal that it had reshaped the planet. Gone were the sprawling cities of old, replaced by a new breed of metropolises, traction cities. These behemoths on wheels rumbled across the continents, their massive engines churning and gears grinding, a testament to humanity's relentless pursuit of survival. The very air was thick with the scent of burnt oil and the distant roar of engines, a symphony of progress and devastation. The remnants of humanity clung to these moving fortresses, seeking safety within their metal bellies. Life aboard a traction city was a constant struggle for space and resources. The largest, like London, towered over the landscape, their upper tiers bathed in sunlight while the lower levels languished in perpetual shadow. Smaller towns, mere villages on wheels, scurried across the ruined earth, always on the lookout for prey or predators. The sun beat down on the dusty plains, casting long shadows from the skeletal remains of ancient skyscrapers. The wind, whistling through the canyons of broken concrete and twisted metal, carried whispers of the past. A past that seemed more myth than history. This was the world 1,000 years after the fall, a world where the only constant was motion. The very earth seemed to tremble as a distant rumble grew louder. It was the sound of progress, some would say. The groan of gears and the hiss of steam announcing the arrival of a city hungry for resources, a city that embodied both the hope and the despair of this new age. Survival in this unforgiving world was a game of eat or be eaten. Every day was a struggle, a test of wits and strength, where only the most cunning and powerful could hope to see another sunrise. The traction cities lived by a brutal creed known as Municipal Darwinism. This doctrine dictated that only the strongest cities would thrive, while the weaker ones would be consumed and forgotten. The big devoured the small, stripping them of their resources and manpower, adding their metal carcasses to their own ever-growing bulk. It was a merciless cycle where the victors grew ever more powerful and the vanquished were left in ruins. It was a world where might made right, where the growl of a city's engines was often the last sound a smaller town ever heard. The roar of machinery was a constant reminder of the relentless pursuit of dominance. This relentless pursuit of power fueled a never-ending cycle of conflict and consumption. Cities clashed in epic battles, each one vying for supremacy, each one determined to emerge victorious. Cities hunted across the continents, their massive jaws, equipped with harpoons and grappling hooks, poised to strike. These mechanical behemoths were always on the prowl, always searching for their next prey. The vanquished were absorbed, their citizens forced into servitude, their resources plundered to feed the insatiable hunger of the victors. The defeated cities were dismantled piece by piece, their remnants used to fuel the ever-growing engines of the conquerors. Within the cities themselves, a rigid social hierarchy prevailed. The structure was as unforgiving as the world outside, with each level representing a different stratum of society. The elite resided in the upper tiers, enjoying sunlight, spacious quarters, and the fruits of the city's conquests. They lived in luxury, far removed from the struggles of the lower levels. The lower depths were home to the poor and the outcast, those who toiled tirelessly to keep the city moving, their lives defined by grime, danger, and the ever-present fear of being recycled, a euphemism for a fate too gruesome to contemplate. These lower levels were a stark contrast to the opulence above, a world of shadows and despair. The moral implications of municipal Darwinism were a source of constant debate. Philosophers, scholars, and ordinary citizens alike grappled with the ethics of a system that seemed to reward brutality and greed. Was it a necessary evil in a world stripped bare, a harsh but essential means of ensuring survival in a desolate landscape? Or was it a barbaric practice that perpetuated a cycle of violence and despair, a system that crushed hope and bred only more suffering? There were those who argued that it was the only way to ensure the survival of humanity, while others whispered of a different path, a future where cities coexisted, not consumed each other. They dreamed of alliances, of a world where cooperation replaced conflict. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the landscape in an eerie orange glow, a lone figure stood atop a pile of rubble, gazing at the approaching silhouette of a massive traction city. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a symbol of the world they lived in. The figure's face, weathered and etched with the hardships of this world, held a mixture of awe and trepidation. Each line and scar told a story of survival, of battles fought and lost, of dreams deferred. For this was the reality of their existence, a constant dance between hope and fear, between the drive to survive and the yearning for a better tomorrow. It was a delicate balance, a tightrope walk between despair and determination, where every step could lead to salvation or ruin. Tom Natsworthy and Hester Shaw, two souls thrown together by fate, bound by circumstances beyond their control. Tom Natsworthy, a young apprentice historian from London, was a curious soul trapped in a city that valued progress over the past. His days were spent in the archives, surrounded by relics of a bygone era. He yearned for a world beyond the metal walls of his city, a world he could only glimpse through the dusty pages of ancient books. The stories of old filled his mind with dreams of adventure and discovery. Hester Shaw, on the other hand, was a scarred and hardened survivor, haunted by a tragic past and driven by a thirst for revenge. Her life had been a series of battles, each scar a testament to her resilience. Their paths, destined to collide, promised to upend the very foundations of their world. Together, they would face challenges neither could have anticipated.
I always wondered what lay beyond these walls, beyond the constant hum of engines. The world out there seemed so vast, so full of possibilities.
Tom, with his mop of unruly hair and a thirst for knowledge, represented the naive optimism of youth. He was a dreamer, always looking for answers in the pages of history. He believed in the ideals of London, in the city's pursuit of progress, unaware of the darker side of municipal Darwinism. The city's relentless drive for advancement often came at a great cost. Hester, her face bearing the mark of a past betrayal, embodied the cynicism and resilience of those who had witnessed the true cost of survival. Her scars were a constant reminder of the pain she had endured.
The world out there is harsh, Tom. It's not the fairy tale you read about in books. It's a place where only the strong survive. It's not the fairy tale you read about in books. The reality is much grimmer, filled with dangers and uncertainties.
Their first encounter was a twist of fate, a chance meeting that would irrevocably bind their destinies. In the vast, ever-moving city of London, their lives intersected in a moment of serendipity. Hester, seeking to avenge her murdered parents, set her sights on Thaddeus Valentine, head historian of London, and the man responsible for her misery. Her quest for vengeance was all-consuming. Tom, unwittingly caught in the crosshairs, found himself thrust into a world of danger and intrigue he could never have imagined. His life, once so predictable, was now filled with peril at every turn. As Tom and Hester navigated the perilous underbelly of London, their initial distrust gave way to a grudging respect. They learned to rely on each other, their bond growing stronger with each challenge they faced. Tom, initially horrified by Hester's quest for vengeance, began to see the world through her eyes, to understand the brutality that underpinned their existence. He realized that the world was not as black and white as he had once believed.
Maybe there's more to this world than I thought, Hester. Maybe you're right. Maybe the stories I read were just that. Stories.
Hester, touched by Tom's innate kindness and idealism, found herself questioning her own path, her heart torn between the desire for revenge and the flicker of hope that Tom represented. She began to wonder if there was more to life than just vengeance.
Perhaps, Tom, there's still a chance for something better. Perhaps we can find a way to make things right, to build a future worth living for.
In this world, dominated by the law of the jungle, a glimmer of resistance flickered. Amidst the towering structures and relentless machinery, there was a spark of defiance that refused to be snuffed out. The Anti-Traction League, a loosely connected network of individuals and settlements, dared to dream of a different future, a future where cities coexisted peacefully, anchored to the earth, allowing nature to heal. They envisioned a world where the scars of the past could be mended and the relentless march of progress could be tempered with wisdom and care. They believed that the endless hunger of municipal Darwinism would ultimately be the downfall of humanity, a system that consumed everything in its path, leaving nothing but desolation in its wake. And they fought to preserve the remnants of the past, hoping to build a better future. They salvaged artifacts, preserved knowledge, and nurtured the seeds of a new beginning, believing that the lessons of history could guide them towards a brighter tomorrow.
We fight not just for ourselves, but for the future of humanity. Our struggle is not merely for survival, but for the hope that one day, our children and their children will inherit a world worth living in. We must believe that a better world is possible. It is this belief that fuels our actions, that gives us the strength to stand against the tide of destruction.
Scattered across the continents, hidden in the shadows of the traction cities, the Anti-Traction League was a thorn in the side of the powerful. They sabotaged engines, disrupted supply lines, and struck at the very heart of the traction cities' operations, and spread their message of hope and resistance through whispered conversations and coded messages. In the dark alleys and hidden corners, their words ignited the flames of rebellion. To the traction cities, they were terrorists, a threat to the established order that had to be eradicated at all costs. Anarchists seeking to disrupt the established order. The authorities painted them as villains, but their actions spoke of a deeper truth. To others, they were freedom fighters, brave souls who dared to stand against tyranny and oppression, visionaries who dared to challenge the status quo. The League's methods varied, reflecting the diverse beliefs and strategies of its members. Some, like Anna Fang, a skilled aviator and fierce warrior, believed in direct action, striking at the heart of the traction cities. Her daring raids and fearless combat inspired many to join the cause. Others, like the peaceful inhabitants of the air city of Airborne, advocated for diplomatic standing, seeking to bridge the gap between the two worlds. They believed that dialogue and cooperation could pave the way for lasting peace.
We all have our roles to play, whether through action or diplomacy. Each of us contributes in our own way, and together we form a tapestry of resistance and hope. Together we can make a difference. Our combined efforts, our shared dreams can turn the tide and create a future where all can thrive.
The Anti-Traction League represented a beacon of hope in a world consumed by darkness. Their clandestine meetings and covert operations were the lifeblood of the resistance. Their struggle was a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, the belief that even in the face of overwhelming odds, a different future was possible. They stood as a symbol of resilience and determination. They were a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the flame of hope, once ignited, could never be truly extinguished. Their legacy would endure, lighting the way for generations to come.